He's got a first down and more. He's still going. Riley Leonard with a stiff arm and a touchdown.
There's no secret to who's one of the hottest teams in college football right now. It's Notre Dame. And they just got one of the best draws in the entire playoff pool, in my opinion. A home game against Indiana is an incredibly favorable matchup against a team that really didn't play anyone this year. And I think it will be a great game to get the Irish some experience under their belts before they go take on the big dogs. I personally am an Ohio State fan, and I can pretty safely say that the Hoosiers are not a real threat by any means. They looked terrible against the Buckeyes, they looked outmatched, and we just got to see how awful Ryan Day is. So I really don't want to jinx anything, but I think the Irish will be just fine in this game. But beyond that, I really just in this video want to talk about and break down how Notre Dame got so hot to end the season and what they need to do to dominate in the playoffs. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. So this is not the Notre Dame team of recent memory. Nobody wants to play this football team right now. The bottom line is, Notre Dame is playing their best football, and they're built to win in December and January. Their physicality, depth, and balance make them a nightmare matchup for any team. Marcus Freeman really has them locked in, and they're peaking at the perfect time. I know I talk about this team a lot, especially as of late, but as I've mentioned a million times, 99% of teams would have folded for the season after what happened against NIU, but mentally they stood strong and got 1% better each day to get to where they are now. Like I said, the way the first ever 12-team bracket has been drawn up certainly favors the Fighting Irish. Indiana has been one of the most surprising teams in college football this year. Their defense, particularly their run defense, has been amongst the best in the country. They've held opponents like Michigan and Ohio State to low rushing totals, and their front seven has been a brick wall. However, they haven't faced a backfield as talented or an offensive line as dominant as Notre Dame's. And as Urban Meyer pointed out pregame before the Hoosiers matchup with Ohio State, size-wise, sometimes they look like they don't really belong against these established football schools. And that is going to be quite intimidating for them when they step foot onto the field in front of that environment come playoff time. Indiana's offense is led by Curtis Rourke, who finished off the season with 349 yards and 6 touchdowns against Purdue. He has been super efficient in their precision passing attack. They have a strong receiving core that could challenge Notre Dame's secondary, but they rely heavily on timing routes and back shoulder throws. If the weather in South Bend is as cold and windy as expected, that could severely limit what Indiana can do offensively. And Notre Dame's ability to control the line of scrimmage will be key. If Price and Love can establish the run early, it's going to open up the play action game for Leonard. And defensively, the Irish will need to generate a ton of pressure to disrupt Rourke. The matchup favors Notre Dame, but this is the playoffs. Really anything can happen, especially with this new format that we are not accustomed to at all. For Notre Dame as the 7th seed, they are a bottom 6 team in the 12-team playoff field. Other bottom 6 teams, such as Ohio State, have an absolute gauntlet to get through if they want to win a national title. Hypothetically, Ohio State's path would be Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and then Georgia. 3 incredible SEC programs and the best team in the nation. Notre Dame, just 1 seed better than the Buckeyes, would face Indiana and then a Georgia team that has had many flaws this year. They would then hypothetically face Boise State or Penn State, 2 solid teams, but definitely among the weaker in the field. A much easier path than the Buckeyes, just 1 seed worse than them. Notre Dame has to be extremely pleased with the potential path laid out in front of them, but I know they are just completely locked in and focused on the task at hand. Anyways, moving on, in his 2nd year as head coach, Marcus Freeman truly has taken the program to another level. Freeman has brought a level of discipline, adaptability, and energy that's resonating with both the players and the fans. His ability to connect with his team on a personal level has really translated to the field, and his emphasis on fundamentals and preparation has paid off in big games. And he's shown a knack for making adjustments. I mean, anyone willing to take advice from an opposing coach that beat you just shows the type of character that almost nobody has. His leadership is a big reason why Notre Dame is playing their best football right now at the most critical point in the season. And on the field, Riley Leonard has been a revelation this season. After transferring to Notre Dame, he has brought a dual threat dimension to the offense that the Irish haven't had in years. His ability to make plays with his arm and legs has kept defenses off balance, and his poise in the pocket and leadership in the huddle have been crucial, especially in close games, which there have been quite a few. He's playing his best football right now, and his chemistry with the offensive line and skill players has been a joy to watch. A lot of people really did write Notre Dame off after the early loss to NIU, and I can't say I blame them. Even Notre Dame fans themselves were giving up. They lost to Marshall last season, and both that loss and the loss against NIU this year came at home as massive favorites. But Notre Dame didn't fold under the pressure. As an independent team meeting no conference schedule and championship game, another loss after NIU would have more than certainly doomed their playoff hopes. But like I mentioned, the culture that Freeman has built in just his second year leading the Fighting Irish shined bright, and the players clearly care and want to win. With the 12-team playoff kicking off for the first time, nobody knows what to expect. I think almost anyone could win it all if the right dominoes fall in place. Notre Dame, as I've been saying, could very easily benefit from playing a team like Indiana in Game 1. If they had to play a team like Ohio State, there would be much more pressure on them to play perfect and draw up a perfect game plan. It's very hard to beat 4 good teams in a row. I'm not trashing Indiana, but the fact that as a 7 seed Notre Dame has an easier matchup Game 1 is definitely going to be a huge advantage for them. They should win and settle in comfortably for a potential deep run into January. And they're entering the playoffs with a lot of confidence. They had been absolutely dominant over the last few games of the season, and I'm not just saying that to say it. They've outscored their opponents by wide margins, really showing incredible balance on both sides of the ball. And the special teams unit has been pretty reliable. This team is firing on all cylinders, and you can feel the confidence building. They're playing with a swagger that we haven't seen in years, and it's clear they're ready to take on anyone. If I was an opposing coach or team, Notre Dame would be the last team I want to see on my schedule this postseason. A team that has everything to prove, but knows they have already proved themselves, is so dangerous. Nobody believes in Notre Dame ever, and honestly rightly so. They have never been able to win that big game in quite some time. But this team has a fire under them, and a hunger in them. They went into College Station and beat A&M week 1, something that has somewhat flown under the radar due to their loss at home against NIU the very next week. But then they ran the table. 10 straight wins. They trounced Army by 35 in a matchup that many viewed as a trap game. So what do you think? Can Notre Dame continue this incredible run and make it to the national championship? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And let's take a look at what some other people are saying.
So in this playoff bracket, you got your Oregons, you got your Georgias, Texas, Ohio State. We know what that roster is, but if we're talking about wild cards, talking about party crashers, if you will, why not Notre Dame? There's a lot to this roster. There's a lot to how they play. Also, look at their path, man. There's a lot to their path to, I think, really make something shake here in this college football playoff.
That's really all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.